You are listening to the Nature's Premier Podcast, Episode 4. Here on the Nature's Premier Podcast, we talk about everything from bees to babies and sustainable living. Join us while we talk about natural parenting and different ways to live a more sustainable lifestyle for ourselves and our future generations to come. Now let's begin. Welcome back to the Nature's Premier Podcast. I am your host, Brooke Nichols, and I am so excited to be here with you all today. On today's episode, we are going to be chatting with Laura Tancredi, owner of Sprout Natural Parenting, located in Greenport, Long Island. Laura is a busy, traveling mother of 3 children that recently opened Sprout Natural Parenting after running a successful natural parenting store in Vermont. Laura is a native New Yorker, environmental and health advocate, and also an avid reader and runner. She is also the founder of a nonprofit organization called Global Children Cambodia, which seeks to help empower youth from underserved communities and orphanages in Cambodia through education, the arts, and character development. Welcome to the show, Laura.
Thank you so much, Brooke, for having me. I'm very excited to be here today.
Yes, and we are excited to have you guys. So can you tell us a little bit about how you got started, in natural parenting community and why you decided to open up Sprout Natural Parenting?
Sure. I think that the opening of Sprout was really a reflection of my own intuitive parenting. I have 3 children, ages 15, 11, and 7. And I think my entire life I've always been an environmental advocate, very holistically oriented, and definitely involved in sort of the social services world. And when I was pregnant with my first, it was a natural endeavor for me to look at natural remedies and explore the option of home birth and various things like that. And that's what ended up happening. I had a midwife. 2 of my 3 children were born at home. And it was just an extension of how I've always lived. And so once my second child, Madeline, was born, I realized that out in the communities that there was this underground interest in philosophy and sort of the natural parenting world, which I think can be very intuitive, but very counter to our current culture. And the opening of Sprout was an exciting endeavor because I thought, wow, can we bring this philosophy together into a retail and community space to allow parents to have access to products and resources, which when I opened the first store in 2006 was really not mainstream and really difficult to find. So the store itself evolved out of, my philosophies and my interest in natural parenting.
Okay, very interesting. So would you say it's a store, but is it also almost like a resource center? Like, do you educate new families about natural parenting?
It really is. I mean, I have to say that as a small business owner, I think probably anybody who can relate to this who's done it is you don't generally open up a small business for a strong financial endeavor, right? Usually It has to come from some passion, and there has to be an alternative reason for doing it. So for me, it was important not just to have a community center. I think that there's a lot of community centers available in different areas, and they tend to focus on one thing specifically, and they do it really well. But sort of the pre-Amazon day, honestly, there wasn't a lot of information out there, and there wasn't a comprehensive place to go to where you could really engage in and learn about a variety of products. And so what we are a retail store, but we're a very strong resource center and community place where parents can come, learn about products that are available, begin to do research into topics like, breastfeeding, what is a doula, should I consider not circumcising, and really looking into different areas that are sort of anti-mainstream. So we're huge advocates of being a community resource center. And really, honestly, that's the super exciting part about the things that we do is sharing that philosophy and helping new moms and new families get involved in what this means.
Yeah, no, that's great. And it's interesting that you said the pre-Amazon era because even though, information's at our fingertips, people still want to go somewhere and see tangible products, speak with someone, have that sense of community. And I know here in Long Island, we really needed something like that. So that's why when we heard you guys were opening up, we were really excited because, you can only do so much online. I mean, having like a sense of community, meeting other families that are embarking on this, new parenting journey together. It's really great for the community, especially. So you said that it's more like a resource center and you're also a shop. Do you have any classes or anything like that you can tell us about?
Yeah, it is. It's really important. You're right. Things really do need to be hands-on these days. And, for example, we have a great nursing bra selection, and we fit you for a nursing bra. This is something that you want to be able to walk into a store. Maybe you're a new mother, you're unsure of what's really going to happen to the changes in your body, how you're going to feed your baby, what kind of support you're going to need. So to come into a safe, comfortable space, have somebody fit you for something like a nursing bra, or you can come in and try on our sling selections, carriers, go use them outside in the community. So these are really hands-on things. And then we can provide a lot of, knowledge and information. The staff in the store, the most important aspect to me with all of the Sprouts that I've had is that the staff in the store are really an extension of my own personal philosophy. But more than anything, they're coming from this school of thought already. And I generally always have people who have parented this way, are advocates of this type of parenting, or are environmentalists, or come from some sort of holistic place, so that when new parents come into the store, or even existing parents, they're able to have these really important conversations. So not only do we provide these products like we've talked about, but we provide other resources and education and information. So we do provide free workshops. We, are newly open in Greenport, so we're just putting the schedule together. But we offer free workshops on a variety of topics. And what we try and do is we reach out to local midwives, doulas, practitioners, people like yourself who are experts in different fields, like cloth diapering in your case. And we ask them to come into the store and provide this information to community members so they can get really strong firsthand information. And we'll do those topics really in any range from natural parenting through environmental to help pinpoint these areas, as in breastfeeding. Am I having any issues with it? What is a doula and how can they be a support in our life? How do you put your child in a sling if that's something you want to know? Or maybe things even more detailed oriented. You are a parent of a few children, but you're reconsidering things like, vaccinations or even, different environmental things. What is it like for my child to need to be outside a little bit more? Or what sort of environmental impacts are happening in my child and their mental health or their physical health. So we will be providing free workshops, and obviously you can find those schedules, through our social media and so forth.
Now, do you have a website where you have like a list of your calendar?
We don't yet. We'll get one up. Right now, I'm more focused on everything in the brick and mortar store and location itself. But we are found on Facebook and Instagram. So social media is really right now our platform for providing information. And we do have an email list as well where people can just give us their information, and we'll be putting out schedules that way. Eventually, we'll have a static website up, but we don't have that right now.
Okay, great. So, all right. So the best way to get in contact with you guys is like Instagram, Facebook.
Yeah, on Facebook. Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
Very cool. Okay, awesome. And can you describe the layout? So let's say I have 3 kids too. My youngest is actually 3 years old. Now, if I wanted to go there for a class, is it child friendly? Is it something that I should go to myself? What's the layout of the store?
Yeah, so the layout of the store is really well thought out. The actual physical space is truly an extension of the natural parenting philosophy and attachment parenting, and also the need to be able to have an ease and comfort of when you're in there. So when the stores were originally designed, the interior in this store as well all has these beautiful curves in it, which in my mind represented the female body, the pregnant body. We have incorporated a nursing chair, which we've always had. So we encourage people who are breastfeeding to come in at any time they need to use the nursing chair.
Oh, nice.
The bathroom has a little potty and a big potty, because what little, 2.5 or your 3-year-old, if they're potty training or just excited, obviously, about using the bathroom.
Yes.
Because bathroom talk and bathroom words and toilets are a super exciting thing because, as we know, everyone poops,
yes.
Right? So we have a little toilet. We also have a changing table in there. So you can come in and change your little one. And we do supply, obviously, free of charge. We have 7th generation diapers sitting on the changing table if you need a backup. And then the store layout itself is conducive for families to come in and be stress-free. So if you're coming in with your toddler, all of our inventory and products for sale are above 36 inches. And everything down below that are play cubbies and toys that your children can engage and play with. So it's really set up to come in and be able to conducive for, pregnant moms, with infants and young children. So it's really a great space to be in.
Oh, that's very thoughtful, especially keeping things a little higher so little rambunctious toddler hands don't grab it. No,
absolutely. It keeps the hands down low and mommies to be able to do whatever else they need to do in there without the stress of that.
So we can go there, we can shop, pick up a couple products, we can take a class, learn some things, and we can also almost do like a little pit stop with the kiddos, breastfeed, do a bathroom check.
We highly encourage the pit stop. We've only been open in this location for a couple weeks, and the first time we had someone come in to use the nursing chair, my staff, Candace, she called me and she said, "There's somebody's here to use it." And I said, "This is great. This is the foundation and philosophy of the store. When a parent comes in just to sit down and breastfeed their child, utilizes the space, and then they go ahead and leave, and that's completely okay. That's what we want to create in there."
Yes, so literally like a sense of community. Okay, great. So we talked about the classes. Now, what kind of products can we find at your store? Is it like just nursing? Like, what kind of things do you guys have going on?
So we try to have the full spectrum that you would need, and I'll sort of, describe what that is. The most important thing for me is to carry real, true, practical items that you need in your parenting life. So while we have really nice high-end products, and while we have access to a big variety, we're not a boutique store. Like in my life, in my eyes, what you want is not so much consumable goods, because I think our culture is much too focused on consumable items.
Yes.
But we want our practical items that you need in everyday life. We also carry a lot of hard to find items. So I love nothing more than when a family comes into the store and they look at me and they go, "Oh my God." For example, we had a woman come in the other day. She goes, "You have gripe water. This is incredible. This is so hard to find." So we carry a few different sections. We have slings and carriers from, ergos to Maya wraps. We carry everything related to breastfeeding and pumping. So we have the Medela line of pumps, and we have nursing bras, and we have a variety of nursing pillows. And then we carry organic layette down to the preemie sizes. So we have all of that type of field up to size 4 years old. Then we have eco-friendly toys and practical items, which you might need on the East End, like bathing suits and sand toys and those things as well.
Definitely.
We have an incredible natural health care line, from nipple butters to sitz baths. And we're very conscious of things like suntan lotions and what's safe to put on children's skin. We do a lot of research. And generally, I have items in the store that, I would only use on my children as well, which is where a lot of the product line came from. And then we carry a lot of things sort of in the Waldorf community and the natural community in that respect. And we try to carry lines that come from small families. A number of the lines we have, for example, we have an incredible, a rattle and teething line that comes from a couple out in Oregon that hand make these out of wood.
Oh, nice.
And we try and keep as much as we can local as well.
Oh, that's great. Okay. Yeah, that's very interesting. Now, what are some of the products that you use on your own kids? Like, what are some of your favorite lines that you guys carry?
Oh, God. I mean, right now it's really interesting looking at sunscreen, because it's something that you don't you think about too much, or I think generally in society you don't. But it's incredibly important what we're putting on our bodies.
Yes.
The chemical content of things is just extraordinarily high. There's just so much chronic disease happening. There's so many skin issues happening. And we really need to step back and look at not only, of course, what we're breathing and the environmental impact. And this, of course, relates really closely to cloth diapers as well, which I think is a really important discussion to have. But honestly, the sunscreen line that we have is fantastic. I carry Badger Balm, Blue Lizard, and I'll think of the third line I carry right now. But all three of them are what I put on my children. And interestingly, I went on, because there's always independent groups who are doing evaluations on things like skincare for children. And the three product lines that we have came in their top list of safe sunscreens for children. So these things are really, really well thought out. And I think really, really important that we look at the bigger picture of product lines that we carry and the impact they'll have on us and our kids. So Pretty much everything there are items that I have used. The nursing bra line is, I of course wore those nursing bras and I found out what was comfortable and what wasn't and got feedback. So we integrate, both community feedback and personal use into the conversation of what we're going to carry in the store.
That's very interesting. Yeah, it's very important. The sunscreen's a big issue, especially being on the East End. I mean, we're on the beach, we're at beaches everywhere, and people don't a lot of times take that into consideration, what's going on to their children's skin and linking that to all ailments that we are finding, through children. And that is definitely a discussion to have. But that's great. That's very interesting. Now, what are some of the questions? I know you had owned a store. I think it was Sprout Natural. Was it Sprout Natural Parenting also in Vermont?
Exactly. It's the same store. We opened originally in Brattleboro, Vermont in 2006. And then I had opened a second location up in Burlington, Vermont late in 2007. And the Brattleboro store stayed open for about 8 years. I had moved geographically, and eventually we closed those doors when I sold the building in about 2013. And it was just something I had always missed, and I felt like it was so important to the community, and the community there missed us dearly, and I missed the community aspect of it. So when the opportunity came to open up in Greenport, I was thrilled and really encouraged, because I have found that with the East End, there is a really strong layer of the natural parenting community that exists there, even more engaged than I thought that there was. So this is just really timely and really exciting to be opening right now.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a nice community, nice tight-knit community for natural parenting and attachment parenting. And, there's even like great homeschooling groups in the island. And I think it's a great resource. And we are so excited to have you guys, on the island providing, this resource center, the store. I mean, it's so important. Like I said, we get calls all the time, asking us the most random questions. And we're like, listen, we're limited to diapers, but now we have a resource, where we can tell them to, to contact, to call, to visit. Now, let's say you have a new family coming in your store, right? Like, what's the atmosphere that you want to portray to this new family, so when they leave, they feel like their questions are answered? Like, is there anything as part of your journey as being like a naturally minded parent that you want parents to take away from your store when they're leaving?
Yeah, I mean, I think there is. Our tagline is a magical place for all your natural parenting needs. And not magical just as in the sense of what you might think of magic, but really is in a place where you feel like you can come and have access to a full spectrum of items that may be of interest to you. And I think it's hard because families come in from very different backgrounds, varied levels of understanding and interest of the natural parenting world. And I think the key is for people to be able to walk through there and open their eyes. I think there's sort of two layers we can look at. For some new parents who maybe haven't been as engaged in this type of philosophy, to open their eyes to things maybe they haven't thought of. Our book section is very extensive, which I actually hadn't mentioned, but we have over 130 book titles.
Oh, wow. And
the reason is because I feel like education and empowerment of many of these ideas and philosophies is vital, and that families really need to engage and combine what their beliefs are with new knowledge and information. So we carry a full line of books that ranges from obviously fertility all the way through home birthing, through parenting adolescence, because the spectrum runs full. So for a new family who maybe hasn't been exposed to this, I want them to walk through and go, wow, I've never heard of a doula. What is a doula? Or to walk through the store and go, wow, you know what? I have been engorged. I've been having a hard time nursing. Is this a safe place for me to ask questions and talk about it?
Yes.
And then for a family that maybe has a few children that has already engaged in this type of parenting, they can walk in and go, you know what? I need sitz bath for the next baby, after I give birth to the next baby. Or I really need an eco-friendly dump truck for the beach. So the whole goal is for people to be comfortable, but really it's for them to be exposed to a very, very holistic, broad spectrum and begin to ask questions so that they can educate themselves and make their own good parenting choices, because all of us are different and there's no right or wrong. But I think there's a lot of information that's lacking out there, and I want people to engage in that conversation.
Yes, no, I mean that's great, Laura. Yeah, there definitely needs to be more of like a non-judgmental approach, like for people to ask questions, for people to learn more, because it's very difficult for you to learn like in a very mainstream type of mindset, to like think outside the box, to see other different types of lifestyles, of thoughts, of philosophy. So I think what you have going on is fantastic. Now, how do you now, just as a personal question, how do you juggle it? How do you juggle the store, the 3 children, and the nonprofit, which I would love to touch on real quick?
Sure. Parenting itself is a juggle. And then, of course, when you add in work, it becomes an extra layer. And I'm also a big advocate of sort of leading by example and living my life by example as a way to teach, my children. So sometimes I even, stretch myself thin by engaging in something just on principle or on philosophy for them to make sure that they see me doing things the way I would like them to. So, it is really difficult. And I think that because all of these areas in my life are passions, it really helps with the drive and the energy level. But, as a parent and as a mother, you can't do everything all at the same time. So sometimes my life goes in ebbs and flows, where I'm able to engage more in, health interests in my running or environmental advocacy. Other times I put a little more time and energy into ensuring that the store is where it needs to be. And then, of course, I go through months where I focus a lot on my nonprofit work. So it's ebbs and flows in life. You have to take as much as you can, but if you believe in it and it's your passion, you really work on making the time that you need to make in order to, follow through on all your activities. But it's not easy, and moms should know that no aspect of it is easy. But if you love it, you move forward with it.
Yes, exactly. It's, people ask me that all the time, and it's like, it's really just time management and, being a parent. I mean, it's just going to be up and down. It's kind of, we're all winging it to an extent,
It is. And sometimes new moms come to me and they're like, oh, I'm having such a hard time. The nursing is hard, or, my baby's not sleeping, or I'm stressed about the medical practitioner and, my vaccination choices. And I'm having mommy guilt because when the baby's awake, I get so, tired and upset. And then when the baby's sleeping, I'm looking at them going, what a sweet little angel. And, my answer is always, everything is a phase, right, in your child's life. So if you're having a great phase, it might come to an end. It might get difficult. But when you're having a difficult phase, know that that's going to come to an end too. And, things will look up. And I think that that's an important lesson to live by, that if you stay focused on your own philosophies and beliefs, that life will come with ebbs and flows. But in the end, it's really, really positive outcome.
Yes, no, that's fantastic insight. Thank you so much for that. Now, before, just to wrap up, I wanted to chat with you real quick. I wasn't aware that you had a nonprofit. Are you still, you're still the founder of that, or? Yes,
I am. So what I would consider is my number one first professional work is a nonprofit organization called Global Children Cambodia that I founded about 17 years ago now. I've always sort of been engaged in social work, and I had ended up in Cambodia somewhat by default as an older teenager and fell in love with the country and its history and its culture, and ended up my academic pursuits thereafter were focused around that region of the world. And then I started this organization where we, at this point, provide university scholarships and support to orphans and disadvantaged youth in Cambodia. So I've been doing that work for about 17 years. And I do my best to balance between that and obviously things like Sprout and running and parenting and all the other things I engage in. But it's very positive work. And again, I think it's just a part of who I am and how I live my life.
Now, how could our listeners find out more information about your nonprofit?
Sure. We have an active website. It's global-children.org. So global-children.org. And also we're on, all the social media platforms as well at Global Children Cambodia. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram as well, and take a look at the work we're doing.
That is great. That is fantastic. Well, Laura, thank you so much for coming on the show today. And I'm just going to give another shout out real quick. She is the owner of Green Sprout Parenting, 37 Front Street in Greenport, New York. And you guys are currently open now, right? You had your launch already?
That's right. We opened 2 or 3 weeks ago. We are open 7 days a week, generally from 10 to 6. A few exceptions here and there, which will be posted. And I just want to say, Brooke, I'm really happy that you're doing this podcast. I have listened to your first 3 podcasts, and I know that you come from the realm sort of specifically of cloth diapering, but your life is all encompassed, I think, from my understanding of, environmental advocacy and, holistic health for children. And I think it's really nice that we're going to have a resource to listen to podcasts on, to learn about things in the full spectrum, because I think it's really important. Life is not limited to one line of thought, and all of these things intertwine in our lives, and they're incredibly important. So I think that you're going to be a great resource for those of us in the natural parenting community. And I'm a huge podcast listener, and I'm an avid learner. So I'm happy to be able to throw my headset up on the subway and hear what kind of experts you have, that you're bringing onto the show. So thanks to you for doing all of this. I think it's going to be great.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm really excited to be able to, offer this. It's definitely a little more eclectic because it is so many different topics, but having people such as yourself, especially with the fact that you're a mother, you own a natural parenting store, you have a nonprofit. I mean, we would definitely love to have you again on the show.
Anytime you want, and otherwise, everybody, of course, can find us at Sprout Natural Parenting, and we're happy to answer any questions you have and just be there as a resource. Please don't be shy. Look us up and utilize us for everything that we have.
Okay, great. And one quick question, do you post your classes on your social media? So if a listener is interested in checking out a class, do you put that on the social media until you guys get the site?
Absolutely. We'll have everything up there. If you follow us, we'll make sure we get all the details up there for anything, related to the store that's of interest to you, of course.
Okay. All right. Sounds good, Laura. Well, we will definitely be sharing it on our page. And thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you, Brooke. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks. You too. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye. That wraps up our interview with Laura Tancredi, owner of Sprout Natural Parenting, located in Greenport, Long Island. Please consider stopping in their store, picking up a wrap, maybe getting fitted for a nursing bra, or even checking out their extensive book collection. We are sure there will be something for everybody there. Once you do, take a generous 20% off your order when you mention the Nature's Premier podcast at checkout, and one of their dedicated staff members will be happy to apply that generous discount to your first order. Thank you all for listening to this week's episode. If you haven't already, please rate and subscribe to the podcast. It really does help get our show in front of more people who can use this information, especially since we do talk about a variety of topics that are, not just inclusive to parenting. We talk about sustainability. We talk about deforestation. We talk about all sorts of environmental news. We also talk about human rights issues, animal rights issues. So it's really important that, this podcast is shared just so it can get to more people. Again, it is a unique podcast, so your support really does help us. Thanks so much again. Have a great week, and we will check you back again next week. Take care, friends.